So we have to have a dessert to go with our fabulous pasta dinner. So I'm going to show you a very easy cake. It's a lemon olive oil cake. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to measure and then how to mix this cake. So I'm going to put all my dry ingredients in a bowl. Okay, so we want to make sure we have a pretty large bowl and very wide as well. So I've already measured out my sugar. I have a little bit of fresh thyme in there and then some of the zest. We needed a lot of zest, so I did a little bit ahead of time, but I'm also going to show you how to zest. So we need a cup of flour to go in there. So when we're measuring dry ingredients, we always want to overfill and then level off. And sometimes I give it a little bit of a tap like that, just in case there are any holes have formed in your cup. And then we just sweep off the excess, and that way we know we have a true measurement. So get your flour into the bowl with the sugar, the lemon zest, and the thyme, and then I'm going to measure out my half a teaspoon or a little bit more of salt. I always like to put a little bit more salt in my baked goods because it enables you to taste all the flavors that are in there and not just the sugar. So salt is not going to affect how the cake bakes, just how it tastes. Okay, but baking powder will affect how the cake bakes. So I'm going to overfill again and level off to make sure we have that true measurement. Okay, so I have all my dry ingredients in my bowl. I'm going to give that a really good whisk. Use my whisk first to mix together my dry ingredients, and that way I don't have something wet on there when I go into my dry and then it kind of clumps together. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of form a well, just like we did with our pasta dough, and I'm going to get my wet ingredients in the center of that. Okay, so I'm going to mix together all my wet ingredients in a large measuring cup, and that way it's going to make it easier to pour into my dry ingredients. So with wet ingredients, you can measure them in a volume measuring cup like this. We have a 1/4 cup of olive oil, and then we have our 2/3 of a cup of milk in our large measuring cup. So I'm going to add my olive oil to the milk, and then I'm going to add my eggs, and then remember, one smack on a flat surface, press in with the sides of our finger and pull out. All right, and then I'm going to whisk those in the measuring cup first. And that way when I add them to the dry ingredients, I'm not mixing too much and overdeveloping the gluten in the cake and making a tough cake. All right, I want to add a little bit more lemon zest to my cake and really bump up the flavor of the lemon. So I'm using a microplane zester here. It's a very, very fine grater. Okay, but you don't have to use that brand. You can use whatever you have at your house. All right, so I like to hold my zester on my bowl and I hook my pinky underneath my bowl, and that way I'm holding it nice and steady. I'm going to move the fruit over the zester and turn the lemon as I'm going back and forth. That way, I'm just getting the very outer colored part of the fruit, and I'm not getting down to the white part underneath that's called the pith. It's very bitter. I always say, I don't want to eat anything that's called pith, so I'll try and avoid that if at all possible. Okay, hold your zester flat like this, give it one smack, and all your zest comes out from underneath. Alrighty. So now we're going to add our wet ingredients into that well in the center of our dry ingredients, and then get a rubber spatula and scrape out the container where the wet ingredients have come from. Sometimes we can lose up to a tablespoon of ingredients by not scraping, and then our ratios for our cake aren't correct anymore. Even if a recipe does not call for vanilla, I always add just a little splash of vanilla, or especially vanilla bean paste if you can find it, because it, again, heightens all the other flavors that are in your cake. So now I'm just going to whisk and kind of turn my bowl as I go, and that way I'm always doing the same movement, but I'm able to get through all my ingredients. And as soon as you can see that you have a homogeneous mixture, meaning it just looks like one smooth ingredient, then we are ready to get that batter into our pan. Okay, I'm going to use a muffin tin to bake our cake. So I'm just going to give a little spray in each cup. Very quick, you don't need a ton because that way it's going to add a little bit too much oil. And even if you're using liners, you still want to spray your pan before you put the liners in. And that way if you drip any batter on your pan, it's not going to stick and make for a big mess that you have to clean up. So I'm going to use a scoop. This is what we call a portion control scoop. Turn it over into your cup and then depress the lever a couple of times. Make sure all your batter comes out. And also make sure you fill your scoop up to the tippity top. And that way, this ensures that all of your mini cakes here are exactly the same size and they're all going to bake at the same rate. We don't have one that's raw and one that's overcooked. So 350 in the oven for about 18 to 20 minutes. And then we'll test our cakes and make sure that they're done. Okay, cakes are out of the oven. So the first indicator that you want to look for to know that your cakes are done is they look dry on top. Second, if they start pulling back from the sides of the pan. And third, if you touch your cake and it springs back to the touch, you should be good. Lots of times people will put a toothpick in the center and look for wet material to come out onto the toothpick, but if you follow those other three indicators, you shouldn't need to put a hole in your cake.